So I have an idea. I'm not sure how successful it's going to be. I think I can execute it, and if not, that's also okay. I think we should give it a shot. I'm going completely based off of knowledge I already have. I'm doing zero research. That is my plan. I'm asking no one for help because that's how I usually operate. I think it's gonna work. Maybe it won't. Either way, it'll be a learning lesson for us all. I think it's worth it for that alone. Okay, generally a traditional artist. I do painting in acrylic and gouache for the most part. I have some paintings behind me. Those are both gouache. Do acrylic painting otherwise. This is the current painting I'm working on. Should be up. Yes, it's of my thigh. So, I am a traditional painter, but around Christmas time, I was able to get myself an iPad. I obviously got right back into working in Procreate, which has been really fun. I did like a little self-portrait. I did a little portrait of my partner. Recently, I was really inspired by this post on Instagram, on this account called Girls Carrying Shit, GCS, and it was of this girl's like claw hand, and she was holding Aquaphor, a croissant, and a PBR, the beer. It was really funny and really cute, so I did like a little drawing of it in Procreate. Anyway, my goal here today is I want to try to get my typical acrylic and gouache kind of shades color palette into a Procreate color palette. So in Procreate, you can like import a color palette, you can upload a picture and it can like pull the colors out of it to make a color palette. Select your colors and kind of make a color palette from scratch. People sell color palettes, I guess. Most of them you can download for free. I don't really know why color palettes you might want to sell. I think they'd make a good freebie though. I have a pretty, I don't want to say distinct color palette, but maybe distinct color palette when I work in traditional media, but it's pretty like I gravitate towards the same colors. An attempt to make digital art feel a little bit more comfortable. I'm thinking if I can somehow manage to create a really realistic color palette of colors I like to work with and get it onto Procreate. It'd be really nice for when I want to create work that really emulates my traditional media work. So with that, like I said, I have no plan. I have concepts of a plan, and I just kind of plan to go into it. And my immediate thought is to make a swatch card, scan the swatch card, and then import that as a color palette. I figure that's the simplest way. I could probably also just look up like hex codes for my paint colors, but since I work in traditional media, I really feel like it's like fun and worthwhile to kind of translate it. Like I think it'll be a meaningful experience, and I don't really know what the best way to do it is, but like I said, I just plan on going for it. And I decided to make a YouTube video out of it because why not, right? I got the iPad. I have microphones, but I swear to God, they sound really bad. So I'm gonna try and get a better one. But in the meantime, you'll have to bear with me, okay? I think I should get a thicker piece of paper. I don't really want to use a piece of watercolor paper. I don't have like acrylic painting paper or canvas paper. I do have canvas panels, but I don't think I have any unused canvas panels. I think I'm just gonna grab a piece of watercolor paper. I fear if I'm going to be doing swatching, I should do a paper that can kind of handle having paint sit on top of it. That makes sense. So, okay, this is like a really large slice. It's like an 11 by 15 or 14. I'm not gonna use it all, so I can cut off half of it later. So my plan, like I said, is to kind of make like a swatch card with my most used shades. I think that'd be a fun little thing to do. Okay, this is my painting shirt, 2025. I used one shirt for the last 2.5 years of painting with acrylics. I was a paper towel user until I realized like you really don't need to do that. And then I have just been using like whatever old t-shirt bombarded with paint. So my desk is a mess. I literally decided to do this after just like thinking about it a little bit while my partner is at a show right now and I'm home alone. What better activity to do than to do an art experiment? Okay, let me try and get this set up. I absolutely understand why people script YouTube videos because this is really hard, but personally, when I get the itch to make one, I don't want to wait. You're just like along for the ride. Okay. Trying to record me doing it on the paper, but with the cameras I was using, it was not working. So in a phone cam because I don't have cameras. So let's see, the colors I've already done. Fluorescent pink, yellow ochre, teal, or sometimes cobalt teal, depending on the brand. Blue gray, so like a really cool toned bluish gray, as it says. So that's kind of what I've got so far on my paper here on my little swatch card. I really didn't like the way it was looking, so I'm kind of just gonna tell you about these colors for a hot second. So yellow ochre, super warm and nice to mix into things to make it a little bit warmer. I really like using it as a base for skin tones. I like lightening it up, adding red, and then adding blues to kind of cool it down as needed, or purples. That's always nice. Teal, just a beautiful bright color that makes muddy colors kind of come back to life. I really like using it to make kind of mid-tone colors pop off of the page or the canvas or whatever. Blue-gray is really just a mixer. I like to mix into things to make them a little bit cooler. It's funny, I don't consider myself someone who does a lot of cool toned paintings, but as I'm looking at the colors I'm choosing, I feel like, yeah, I really like to kind of shade with these cool neutrals. And I've noticed that I like to use this color as a background, especially on portraits. Okay, what's next? The color that I really like to have in kind of my like starter color palette is a bright orange. Fun fact about me, orange is my favorite color. My stuff is orange. I have orange winter jacket, orange curtains, orange Stanley Cup, orange iPad case. Orange is like, well, here's the thing, it's not my favorite color. I saw someone on TikTok describe this as their assigned color, like almost just like a color that they decided was going to be their personality color, the color they associate with themselves. But orange is definitely that color for me. When I first started painting, I used orange in extreme amounts, like actually to my detriment. I'll show you one of my first paintings that I finished that I was really, really proud of. And don't get me wrong, I think it's still a pretty good painting. The colors are just crazy. Trying to do the high contrast thing and it wasn't really working. But you can tell that I really, like, I just love orange, cadmium orange hue. So this is like another staple in the shades I like to use. It's really similar to like your burnt siennas, very warm earthy tones. But it's this one in particular. I don't know what it is about this particular pigment, synthetic red iron oxide. I don't know, but it's the Blick red oxide. Gone through, I think, 3 or 4 tubes of this. Wonderful. You can use it to make really beautiful warm tones. I like to use it to make brown, like darker browns. The coolest thing about it is you can use it with blue to make black. So I'm gonna add the blue on there. Oh, like it's so strong. It is so pigmented, it's crazy. My blue paint, I lost the cap. I lost the cap to my ultramarine blue. So we're gonna have to poke a hole in it. So this is ultramarine blue. It is beautiful. It is such a gorgeous blue. Notice I have almost like a Zorn palette going on with a really warm red rather than like a red. I think that's where a lot of my like main mixed shades would come from. But what I'm gonna do now, so you can just like keep mixing more blue to make it cooler, or more brown, or the red oxide to make it warmer. Kind of just keep adding these. You'll end up with this really lovely, rich, dark color you can kind of use as like your darkest shade in your palette. And I just got some orange in there, which I really didn't want to do. But yeah, it makes like this like really dark brown that I just think is so useful. So that's kind of what it looks like. I don't have too many more I want to add, honestly. What I'm really going for is like really iconic shades, not necessarily my like go-to or favorite colors or anything. Like greens, I feel like I don't really care about having the perfect green shades because I end up mixing my greens like crazy anyway. So I'm kind of thinking about like the colors and the tones that feel really close to me in my paintings. This won't be like the full 32 or 36 or however many colors a Procreate palette can hold, but kind of just an experiment to see if this works. So the next color I use, just like the red oxide, is a paint tube that I've used this specific one multiple times, and the red oxide was the smaller size. I don't think I put it away already. It was the smaller side, but this is the bigger size. And this is, I always have a really hard time saying it, quinacridone magenta. Quinacridone magenta. Quinacridone pigments are like reddish purple pigments. I believe that like one of their main properties is that they're pretty translucent, so they make nice mixers when you want to tint something a little bit, but you don't want to like really change the opacity of it. I really like to use this one to add to my black shade to kind of make a more dark, mysterious purpley shade. Also makes a nice darker mixer, and you can even make it into a like purpley shade with the blues. The only thing about my painting t-shirt, this one's cotton. I don't know, I should have checked. Whatever it's made of, it does not absorb water very well, so it'll just like pool on it when I wipe my brush. Yeah. So this is quinacridone magenta. Being really careful with these as if I do care. It's like as if I really care, but I'm like, I do care. I'm probably gonna hang this up on the wall because these are like my favorite colors to use, so I do care. I think I think it would be nice to round this out and have like the full 12, but I might only have one more that I want to add. I like to have a really bright yellow. I like to always have a cadmium yellow. Every brand's cadmium yellow can really differ in tone. Some of them can be a little bit cooler, some of them can be a little bit warmer, some of them are brighter, darker, some of them have deep, medium, and light versions. But for the most part, I just kind of go for a cadmium medium yellow. Cadmium. I really like having a nice bright yellow to lighten with. You might have, you know, heard white can really kind of dull a pigment. So brightening with a yellow can make it a lot brighter. I'm gonna switch brushes for this though, because yellow is like, I need it to be clean for this yellow. So we'll just have to fill in the rectangle a little bit. Is that 10? Ooh. I guess 10's not a bad number either. What am I missing? I said green, but I really like to mix my greens or kind of pick greens for the mood. And also digital, I feel like digital greens are a little bit easier to pick, and mixed greens are kind of difficult, at least for me. I think those are the main shades. I am gonna add one more that's kind of a convenience shade for me lately, because I really do like making my own skin tones, but this is another kind of skin tone base that I like to go up and down from. This is Pale Terracotta. Kind of like light peachy pink sort of shade. It's nice to just kind of have pre-made, like a creamy beigey kind of color. Even if it were darker than this, that would be fine. I know it looks crazy the way I'm putting this down, but it's because I'm doing it with my left hand. Okay. Okay. I kind of feel like I should do one more to make it even. I also kind of feel like I'm being so annoying about staying true. Wait, no. I have one. This is an acrylic gouache shade that I have not been able to stop using lately. I could probably mix this up, I don't care, but I've been mixing it into everything because it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So this is the Holbein acrylic gouache in peacock blue. Ugh. It is like the most beautiful dark blue-green shade, and this I try to use really sparingly, like when I put it out on a palette, because acrylic gouache is pretty expensive. It's not really meant for this purpose, but I could probably find one like it that's not in acrylic gouache form and is pre-mixed in like an acrylic color, probably golden probably has one, but I don't know. This shade in particular is just so good in my opinion. I love it, and I've been using it a lot lately, so I think it's a perfect one to end off on here. All right, it's a little silly, but I think it kind of works. On a giant piece of paper, but I am gonna cut the other half off so that I can actually use it for painting, because I'm not gonna waste it, obviously. These are it's a little bright, but these are the 12 shades that I think that I like to often incorporate into my traditional paintings. The goal now is to get them into Procreate. So my plan is to scan these on the scanner. I guess I could even just take a picture. That might be faster. Maybe I'll take a daytime picture. Okay. Either way, I'm gonna get these digitized. I'm gonna get them in there. I do pull them into a Procreate palette, and then maybe I'll finish out the palette with other colors that I want to mix but like would use. Sounds like a plan.
And you know what? What was that? Okay, James.
Basically, all I'm doing is inserting the photo of the scan that I took of the swatches that I made. I'm just gonna kind of pop it off to the side. All I'm really gonna do is use like the color selector to pick up the paint colors I picked up, and if I have to adjust them a little bit to kind of make them match the real life color that I like to use, you know, I kind of tried to do that. Like some of these just didn't translate exactly how I wanted them to, so yeah. Okay, so let's talk about fluorescent pink a little bit. You can see that when I tried to do my swatch card with the fluorescent pink, the pink really just like did not translate the way that it does in real life. Fluorescent hot pink item, it shows up really, really bright in your eyes in real life. However, fluorescent shades like this cannot be scanned the way other pigments can. The reason for this is because fluorescent pigments reflect more light than the image sensors can handle. They're just not meant to pick up that kind of like extra reflection of light. But what ends up happening is that the fluorescent colors look really washed out when they're scanned. This is where some of the kind of color correction in making prints and stuff would come from, because I do make use of this really bright color that can't be scanned very easily. You do have to kind of touch it up and make it a little bit brighter in editing afterwards. But you can see for his little sketch or whatever, I've just kind of picked a color that I thought was really kind of similar. And you know, when layered, gives a nice hot pink, fluorescent pink effect. Just like I would in my sketchbook or on a piece of paper, I laid down kind of a initial hot pink layer. All right, sorry for that quick cut there. I took a break before continuing and decided here I'll just finish it out with a quick little sketch to try out my digital palette and do a little voiceover. I really didn't want to spend a bunch of time doing a whole really detailed full piece because I have other projects in the works that I'm really excited about, and I really like the process that I was interested in for this video was digitizing the palette, and now that I have it, I feel like I can do stuff with it. So while I'm drawing my little kitty cat here, I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about why I did this in the first place, what the point was. I feel like something I really struggle with, and something that everybody really struggles with as a visual artist, is wanting to kind of have a cohesive look or style or aesthetic. And while I've definitely gotten to a point where that's not as important to me anymore, there are certain things I know I gravitate towards over and over again. Because I know that I gravitate towards those things, I know that they're, you know, what I like to use in my art. And I just feel like having this digital palette that encompasses all of my favorite acrylic tones is like, it's a really nice place to start if I want to work digitally but don't really know what I want to do or what I want my colors to be like, or if I want to add a certain color to something to kind of make it all look cohesive. I think it's gonna be like nice in like a connection sort of way, if that makes any sense at all. Obviously, the thing about digital painting, at least in Procreate, I don't know if, I think Clip Studio Art, if that's what it's called, does it, but you can't like put two colors together and mix them to get a new color. Like if you put, you know, a teal and a yellow next to each other, you're not gonna necessarily get a green. You kind of have to like use opacity or mix a green from there. So that's a little bit tricky and is something I'm considering with having made this palette. I'm like, oh, that's my cat literally chewing on plastic. So yeah, because you can't really mix colors, that does make it a little bit different, but I feel like having places to start or colors to kind of bring it all together could be really nice. And that was really my main thinking with trying to digitize my go-to palette. Like, I know I can't mix the colors I would use together, but a lot of these colors just feel like me, they feel familiar, and yeah, I thought it would be kind of nice to have that overlap. So anyway, that is installment 1 of art experiments. This year, I'm really trying to just like balls to the wall, do whatever I want creatively, and that includes making videos with no plan. You know, stay tuned for that, and I'll see you next time.